Are now live on the This Chick Means Business page. If you want to be active in the conversation, please pop over to This Chick Means Business and follow the live recording over here. I'll have this page and comments open for people that have registered for the challenge. If you haven't registered, that's fine as well. Something I realized while I was doing this and setting it up was that while the original thought was supporting people with business and having the confidence to be able to share their message, their work really congruently, and to not be afraid of what people might say, with everything else that is actually going on in the world at the moment, I realized for some people who might watch this who don't have a business but still have something really powerful to say, that this could also be a good challenge, which is why I'm sharing it across my personal profile as well as my business page. So I think there's still some people over on the business, on the personal page. That's fine. I'll keep checking both because I'm multi-talented. All right. So today, for day one, what I wanted to cover, and yes, I do have some notes down here, otherwise I'll talk your ears off, is today we want to have a look at fear and what fear actually is. And I want to start with a quote from Tim Ferriss, which I just popped up somewhere last night, which is, you know, perfect timing. And in this quote, he says, "What we fear doing most is what we most need to do." And I was quite lucky. I was taught quite a few years ago by a marketing mentor how to be courageous online. If you're here on the business page, could you pop in a comment? I'm seeing some people are live, but I'm not seeing who. So we'll see how the tech works. Oh, thank you, Suzanne. So I was quite blessed in that regard, because being a country girl who had quite a troubled past, stepping up online and showing up was actually, hi Joan, was actually quite a challenge for me. And we're going to go through why it's a challenge and talk about the body response today. So first of all, I'm a word nerd, and something that I like to do with a lot of the work that I do is actually get dictionary definitions around certain words, because as human beings we tend to embellish meanings sometimes. We like to amplify things, and so I like to sometimes step out of the emotional and just logically look at what a word really means. So fear, an unpleasant emotion caused by the threat of danger, pain or harm, a feeling of anxiety concerning the outcome of something or the safety of someone, the likelihood of something unwelcoming happening. So that's fear. Visibility, on the other hand, which is something that we're also talking about today, is the state of being seen or being able to see, the distance one can see as determined by light and weather conditions, maybe not quite so relevant for us, but still good to know, and the degree of which something has attracted general attention or prominence. So for businesswomen like ourselves, with our powerful messages, and with other people who may not come from a business perspective but still want to create change in the world, especially with a lot of the stuff that's happening at the moment, I think it's really important to understand that, because it's an unpleasant emotion. Not nice. It's a warning, right? So let's have a look at the body and brain response, which is a fear reaction starts in the brain and spreads throughout the body to make adjustments for the best line of defense or flight reaction. So I'm guessing, having a look at the people here, is that most of you probably already understand this, but let's do a refresher and let's just keep it nice and simple for those who don't. So fear was very, very important before we were evolved. Caveman days, we're out there hunting, gathering, big animals come eat us, right? So we have to be on alert. Now, times have changed, and yes, there are times when we still really need to be alert, but we still have a much more heightened sense of fear. And off on a side thing, decluttering your house and tidying things up helps us remove the edge of fear that we live in, and it helps calm our mind down, because when our things are tidy, there's less chance of something hiding and jumping out at us. So understanding where fear comes from and why we can get triggered into such a really powerful state, I think is really important, because to understand something means we start having a choice about how we respond to things. And when we start choosing how we want to respond to what's going on online, which is why most of us are here, it actually gives us back a lot of personal power. And like I said, being afraid still has a place for us, but we can actually learn to control it, because the fear is the hindbrain keeping us safe. And something, when I learnt this, that the hindbrain is especially focused on the next 24 hours, and we can, Justine says she actually feels a little nervous when she tidies things up. It's because your brain doesn't know what's going on. And the hindbrain's like your little security in your mind, and he wants to keep you safe. And I love this story that Benjamin Harvey from Authentic Education shares. So the security in your brain, right? You wake up in the morning, this is your hindbrain, and you're ready to do your day. And you're like, I'm going to go for a walk. Don't know where, I'm just going to go for a walk. Your hindbrain, your little security man or woman in your head is going, oh, wait, hang on. We don't know where we're going. We don't know how to keep you safe. And all of a sudden you get distracted. You're like, oh, just check Facebook first. Security's kept you safe. So this is where sabotage and things come in. So these little things, when you understand them, when you hold back from doing the things that you think or want to do for your business, or you find you're sabotaging or getting distracted, it's because your hindbrain doesn't think it can keep you safe and it's unknown. So how do we combat this? Well, here's a little quote for you. And I don't know if this is my quote or I've taken it from somebody said it to me or wherever it is, but belief is only found on the other side of action. You are only going to know 100% if something works, if something's safe, if something's good, if something's the right thing for you by completing the action. There's no other way around it. And when I figured that out, and when I was taught that, and I really allowed myself to get it, was so much easier to take action. Now, I still get caught by my hindbrain. My hindbrain still stops me every now and then. Like even setting up this this challenge, because I knew that it could create such change for so many people. You know, I sat on this idea for weeks. What if I'm not good enough? What if it doesn't work? What if da-da-da-da-da? So to be able to move past fear, we need to understand our body is protecting us from what it perceives could be dangerous. We need to understand what we think is dangerous, and we actually have a little exercise to do a little later for this. We need to understand we're wired for being alert, and that's okay. We love our hindbrain, it wants to keep us safe, but we have to stop letting it hold us back. So I've got a little activity for us to do, and the first thing is really just understanding that to be confident online is to understand how our body is responding and why it's doing that. So let's get started on starting to identify some fear. And originally I just had this really simple little writing exercise, but something came up the other day, and a lady put a post up, and I've been thinking about this, and it really just cemented for me that we actually really need to do this. Is reframing the negative things about being online. Now, a lot of this stuff becomes quite internal. If I post this, if I say this, people will think, somebody might say back, I might upset someone. And so a little bit of safety and a little bit of ego comes into play, right? You know, and I don't know about you, but I don't deliberately want to upset people. But I've learned now that sometimes important things need to be said regardless. So I put a post up in a group the other day, and some people actually have said to me they think I'm quite cold, really hard to get to know, and a little intimidating. And so I could take that to heart and shrink back. Or I could reframe that and go, well, you know what? I might seem a little cold. It's just that I'm a little more discerning about who I really share my feelings with and who I let in really, really close. I might seem a little intimidating, but sometimes people confuse intimidation with somebody who's really strong and confident within themselves. So if you want to type anything into the comments about how people perceive you and how it could be deemed as negative and how it could be holding you back, happy to do a little bit of reframing live on the call for you. Or if you want to go away and have a think about it, you're more than welcome to do that. Why is that not scrolling up? Suzanne, seriously, is this not a reflection of themselves? Yeah, it is. Quite often it is a reflection. People see what they need to work on within themselves. But I also know that a lot of people take these things to heart and really hold them back. Now, what Student said, apparently she's scary, right? And a few people have laughed at the fact that people have told me that I'm cold and intimidating. Maybe they've got the lizard, cold-blooded heart things going on. So you're scary. Now, I know Doon. Now, Doon is one of the strongest, most intelligent, smart women that I've ever met. Like, Doon knows her stuff, and she's not afraid to speak her mind. So if that means scary for some people, to me that would mean that they haven't found their ability to speak up. So you can see how, like as Suzanne said, it's a reflection of the other person. But when you actually step back and reframe it and have a look and go, actually, you know what? I'm actually not a cold person. I'm actually can be quite shy. You might not believe it because I'm here doing lives across 2 pages, but I used to be, as a child and a teenager, hideously shy, like terribly shy. Like even as a teenager, I wouldn't go into the shop to ask for a packet of chips or something because I was like too scared. And so this is where, if I can learn to speak up, like I was a kid who would rather go without than ask. So you can change these behaviors, you can change these perceptions. So the comments is scroll down. Now, Justine said, people think I don't know what I'm talking about. This isn't online, more so in real life in my jobs. Okay, so is it because they're potentially needing to prove their own worth and intelligence by not accepting that you might know more? Because sometimes people are like that. They need to be seen as the authority because they've got their own stuff going inside. Now, what else have I got here? Resting bitch face. Oh, yes, definitely have been told I have resting bitch face, which is probably part of the intimidation. I read an article somewhere where there's 3 kinds of resting face, and I can't remember what the other ones were, but I'm just like, yeah, resting bitch face. Caroline had a disagreement with a supplier, told me I didn't represent peace, tranquility, and happiness. Oh, okay. Teresa had a stutter. So all of this stuff, and it's really quite reflective of where we were in the past. This stuff comes up, and it's a huge part for us when it comes to being visible and showing up online, is to also take care of our own healing. That's a huge thing. So I've done, golly, how old am I now? I've done a good 15 years worth of personal development, you know, to be able to get to this place as well. You know, so unfortunately, not everyone is prepared to do the work on themselves. And so there's always going to be people that are going to come and attempt to, you know, tell you that you're wrong. And that's okay. There's this this thing where, you know, I used to fight people quite a lot online, but people fight to keep their beliefs. And part of being confident and online and being willing to step up and be visible is to know when to fight the fight and to know when to walk away. We have the amazing ability to block. Just saying, sorry, she's not seeing all the comments, but I've got the live going on my personal profile as well as on this business page. I figured, seeing as this is about being visible, I felt that being visible on my personal page as well would actually demonstrate a little bit of courage, because I know there's some people that like to keep personal and professional very, very separate because of the fear of judgment from family. And that is a huge thing that shows up for many people as well. So getting back to the script, because I don't want to keep you here too long, because I do understand people have work to do, and I also want you to be able to go away and reflect a little more on what this first day means for you. So I really want you to just go out there and make friends with your fear, or at least acknowledge it. We now know that fear is a body response from the hindbrain back from the caveman days, which is designed to keep us safe. And quite often fear now is amplified, but really fear is just because we don't know what's coming up next. And, you know, life is an adventure, and we don't get the belief and we don't know the truth until we take the action. So list your big fears about being visible online. Are you worried about trolls? Are you worried that your family will come on and diss you on a post? Somebody mentioned that in a group that their mother came onto one of their posts and started paying her out with her sister. I'm like, ugh. And we'll talk more about family and everything as we go on through the challenge. But just write them down. Start exploring how much of this is a real fear that could leave me feeling, that could actually cause me to be at risk, or how much of it is a story I'm telling in my head. Because I used to tell a lot of stories, and I know with my first business, one of my biggest fears was that parents, because I used to work with youth, that parents would find out that I used to party and do drugs, and then they would judge 35, 36, 37-year-old Trudy against 25-year-old Trudy, and then I would lose work, and I wouldn't be able to live to my mission and my purpose, and I wouldn't be able to help the teenagers that really need me because of a snap judgment from parents. Funny thing was, when I shared that story, I got no negative flack. I had a whole heap of parents say to me, "Oh my gosh, thank you, awesome. You can actually help me talk to my teenager about it because I've never done drugs and I don't get it." So sometimes the thing that is our greatest fear will actually become our greatest ally in our business. And we'll be talking about this on day 4 in more detail. So let's just get started. Write your list, write your fears. Now, if childhood stuff is coming up for you and you're feeling a little upset, please reach out to the This Chick Means Business page. I'll be checking it during the day. I've got calls to do as well with clients, but you're not alone on this. We have the potential here to do a very big deep dive and really clear all the stuff that keeps you only posting in Facebook groups, keeps you only posting in the little spaces and pockets where you feel safe, and really help you start to project your energy and your message out to a wider audience. Because tomorrow we're going to talk about purpose. And purpose for me is one of the biggest drivers in everything that I do. So you can join the Facebook group, Chicks That Mean Business, and share your comments, thoughts in there if you have any aha moments. If you've realized that the fear response, the fear, freeze or flight response has really been getting in your way, If your worst case scenario actually maybe isn't that bad, or anything else that you want to share, jump into the Facebook group. You can use the hashtag 5TC SUBV. That's the hashtag. Wow, that was a bit awkward to get out. Any other thoughts that you've had? I will go through the comments and respond as well after the recordings are finished. For those of you that haven't registered, if you do want to actually register, yes, I'll be going live here, but I've sent out an audio, a courage induction to support people through the challenge to step up your feelings of courage in your body. So you do need to be registered for that. That's the dealio with that one. And anything else, feel free to share. I think that's it. I don't want to keep you on here for too much. But yeah, write down today's task. Write down your biggest fears about being more visible online. And let's break them down, move them on, let them go, send them out into the ether, and get your mission and your purpose and your vision shared out with a bigger audience. Oh yeah, we're 9 o'clock Melbourne time. I know with the daylight savings changeover, there might have been a mix-up. Now, if anyone who's registered, the Zoom meeting emails, sorry, supposed to have disconnected those. I forgot, whoops, whatever. So there is no Zoom calls for this. Everything is live on the Book of Face. All right, I'm going to leave you with that now. And any questions, any shares, anything, you know where to post. All right, see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Bye. Doesn't want to end the video. There we go. Come on.